Esquires flag officers in faith on Friday, May 14th, 2021. Hey there, it's Rob Ryder. And I wanted to do a relatively short video on, just some things that had happened this week. Kind of ties them all together at one time for me. So it's a wonderful day in America. And so it started with, here just a couple days ago, this open letter from retired generals and admirals came out. And I read it and said, well, I need to read this into a video, right? Because I like to put voice to things that are on paper, because paper can't speak for itself, right? So the generals are going to be good enough to put it on paper. I'll go ahead and read it. And that's what I'll be doing here shortly, right? But I didn't know when I was going to do it until I got up today, and I'm reading, on the internet that a Marine Corps officer was arrested Thursday for alleged crimes at the U.S. Capitol riot on January 6th, becoming the first known active duty service member charged in the violent attempt to thwart certification of Joe Biden's election as president. Well, it's like, well, jeepers, here just last week I did a video called Proud Boy, Mr. Patriot Deserves Justice, Not Pity. And I had been pointing out that they had just arrested a young guardsman out of Wisconsin for whatever happened at the Capitol. And I was saying, you guys are really playing with fire, because, I don't think it's going to go over too well if you arrest somebody who's active duty. Then the generals posted their letter, and then, right on cue, they picked up a frickin' active duty Marine Corps major. So, and of course, when you look at the paperwork that they put in for these people, it's got all sorts of errors. So I'll be looking at what they put in for the major, and, there isn't much in there yet, but it's already wrong. So there shouldn't be any. There shouldn't be any in there. In fact, the major, or anybody who's in the military or a veteran, if you get picked up for any reason, for any crime, at any time, I don't care if it's traffic court, you need to tell them, look, I demand trial by court-martial. Right? I'm in the military. I demand trial by court-martial. I'm a protected person under the Geneva Convention. I demand trial by court-martial. And if they say, Judge, did you hear me? I said, I demand trial by court-martial. Right? If you read the fourth chapter of the Department of Defense's Law of War Manual, right, which is all about the different classes of persons, if you're a protected person, you are entitled to trial by court-martial. You just have to claim it, right? But instead, what they're going to do is they're going to take the major out of the jurisdiction of the United States into this private jurisdiction run by Esquires under the bar, right, who sit as judges and sit as the prosecutor at the same time, and where a dominion of King George III and his successors is going to be the plaintiff, right? It's not the United States. It's not the government of the United States. It's the United States of America. Well, that's not the government of the United States. United States of America, right? Not with the at the beginning, just United States of America. That's King George's jurisdiction. King George III and his successors claim dominion over the United States of America. It's in the Treaty of Peace of 1783. It's never been contested, right? That's the democracy. That's the thing in the republic. But we don't have to be in that thing. Well, except the Esquires have tricked us in there, probably before we were even born, and you're just born into the democracy, and they won't let us out. They took away the key of knowledge to get back to the republic, which is under martial law, and it has been since the Civil War. Lincoln declared martial law in the District of Columbia for the United States. And then the Lieber Code was published. And in the Lieber Code, it says, once martial law has been declared, that it takes a special proclamation from the commander-in-chief or a peace treaty for it to end. Neither of those happened at the Civil War. Neither of those happened after World War I. And so we are at war domestically and internationally all the time. They just don't have to tell you that. It says that in the Lieber Code too. So what's the symbol, right? Well, it's the gold fringe flag. right? That's the military government under martial law. And you find these flags all over the place, right? They're in all courtrooms, right? But there's an Army regulation that says, well, that flag can only fly in a military courtroom. So you go into a courtroom, well, you just walked into a military courtroom. So, that's the world we live in. It's this smoke and mirror set up by Esquires. And, now the generals are pissed. So we'll see if they can put the fear of God in you. And if they can, especially if they put the fear of God in the ones sitting as judges, well, then it's game over for the rest of them. So that's what's going on. And then I wanted to quickly talk about, because a veteran's been asking me, well, would you please provide the information regarding the discharge in the Army doesn't release us from obligation? Yes, I will. Right, so stick around and I'll show you where that's all at. And just to make the record complete, I'm Staff Sergeant Robert Allen Wertlewski, United States Army veteran. You can call me Rob Ryder. Email address is quarterrecord@AOL.com. Phone number 616-712-6179. So give me just a second, and I guess let's read the letter first, and then we'll go look at some of the things that the Esquires have been up to. So hang on. Okay, so Flag Officers for America, right? They have their own website, and because they make it so you can contact them and send them a message. Well, that's what we veterans, active duty, may have to do. Right? Well, I know that I am, and I'm going to ask that you do too here soon enough, because, I believe that a general, whether he's retired or not, right, can do my sworn statement form for me. And generals, if a veteran could do a sworn statement for him, you wouldn't have all these problems out here in the districts with all these Esquires up to their antics, because we could file some sworn statements against them. It's just, to do it, we need somebody to do this section right here. Right? It has to be somebody with authority from the military. And I've shown in videos, well, that could be the church. They were given authority by the military. Could be the library. They've been given authority by the military. Anybody with a gold fringe flag should be able to do it. That's the military jurisdiction, right? So they have to sign it and put their, what their authority was. But I don't believe this can be done by a notary public, because they can only do private matters. But if a veteran could use this form and fill out a properly formed sworn statement about what he saw out in the district, so that it would be investigated, all the belligerents out here in the districts would come to an end. And I'm really hoping that we can convince the generals to do that, right? Because again, I think that a retired general still, could take your sworn statement. I think he still has his flag, in other words, or his flag has still got power. Anyways, let's look at the letter they put out. So it says here, open letter from retired generals and admirals. Our nation is in deep peril. We are in a fight for our survival as a constitutional republic. Didn't say about a democracy there, did it? Like no other since our founding in 1776, the conflict is between supporters of socialism and Marxism versus supporters of constitutional freedom and liberty. During the 2020 election, an open letter from senior military leaders was signed by 317 retired generals and admirals, and it said that the 2020 election could be the most important election since our country was founded. With the Democratic Party welcoming socialists and Marxists, our historic way of life is at stake. Unfortunately, the statement's truth was quickly revealed, beginning with the election process itself. Without fair and honest elections that accurately reflect the will of the people, our constitutional republic is lost. Election integrity demands ensuring there is one legal vote cast and counted per citizen. Legal votes are identified by state legislature approved controls using government IDs, verified signatures, etc. Today, many are calling for such common sense controls racist. in an attempt to avoid having fair and honest elections. Using racial terms to suppress proof of eligibility is itself a tyrannical intimidation tactic. Additionally, the rule of law must be enforced in our election process to ensure integrity. The FBI and Supreme Court must act swiftly when the election irregularities are surfaced and not ignore them as was done in 2020. Finally, H.R. 1 and S1, if passed, would destroy the election fairness and allow Democrats to forever remain in power, violating our Constitution and then in our representative republic. Aside from the election, the current administration has launched a full-blown assault on our constitutional rights in a dictatorial manner, bypassing the Congress with more than 50 executive orders quickly signed, many reversing the previous administration's effective policies and regulations. Moreover, the population control actions such as excessive lockdowns, school and business closures, and most alarming censorship of written and verbal expression are all direct assaults on our fundamental rights. We must support and hold accountable politicians who will act to counter socialism, Marxism, and progressivism, support our constitutional republic, and insist on fiscally responsible governing while focusing on all Americans, especially the middle class, not special interest or extremist groups, which are used to divide us into warring factions. Additional national security issues and actions. Open borders jeopardize national security by increasing human trafficking, drug cartels, terrorist entry, health, CV-19 dangers, and humanitarian crisis. Illegals are flooding our country, bringing high economic costs, crime, lowering wages, and illegal voting in some states. We must reestablish border controls and continue building the wall while supporting our dedicated border control personnel. Sovereign nations must have controlled borders. China is the greatest external threat to America. Establishing cooperative relations with Chinese Communist Party emboldens them to continue progress toward world domination, military, economically, politically, and technologically. We must impose more sanctions and restrict to impede their world domination goal and protect American interest. The free flow of information is critical to the security of our republic, as illustrated by freedom of speech and the press being in the First Amendment of our Constitution. Censoring speech and expression, distorting speech, spreading disinformation by government officials, private entities, and the media is a method to suppress free flow of information, tyrannical technique used in closed societies. We must counter this on all fronts, beginning with removing Section 230 protections from big tech. Re-engaging in the flawed Iranian nuclear deal would result in Iran acquiring nuclear weapons, along with means of delivering them, thereby upsetting the Mideast peace initiatives and aiding a terrorist nation whose slogans and goals include death to America and death to Israel. We must resist the new China-Iran agreement and not support the Iran nuclear deal. In addition, continue with the Mideast initiatives and Abrams Accords in support for Israel. Stopping the Keystone Pipeline eliminates our recently established energy independence and causes us to be energy dependent on nations not friendly to us while eliminating valuable U.S. jobs. We must open the Keystone Pipeline and regain our energy independence for national security and economic reasons. Using the U.S. military as political pawns with thousands of troops deployed around the U.S. Capitol building, patrolling fences guarded against non-existent threat, along with forcing politically correct policies like divisive critical race theory into the military at the expense of warfighting mission, seriously degrades readiness to fight and win our nation's wars, creating a major national security issue. We, this would be the general speaking, we must support our military and vets, focusing on war fighting, eliminate the corrosive infusion of political correctness into our military, which damages morale and war fighting cohesion. The rule of law is fundamental to our republic and security. Anarchy, as seen in certain cities, cannot be tolerated. We must support our law enforcement personnel and assist the DAs, our courts, and the DOJ enforce the law equally, fairly, and consistently toward all. The mental and physical condition of a commander-in-chief cannot be ignored. He must be able to quickly make accurate national security decisions involving life and limb anywhere, day or night. Recent Democratic leadership inquiries about nuclear code procedures sends a dangerous signal, a dangerous national security signal, to nuclear-armed adversaries, raising the question about who's in charge. We must always have unquestionable chain of command. Under a Democratic Congress and current administration, our country has taken a hard left turn toward socialism and Marxism form of tyrannical government, which must be countered now by electing Congress, congressional, and presidential candidates who will always act to defend our constitutional republic, the survival of our nation, and its cherished freedoms, liberty, and historic values are at stake. We urge all citizens to get involved now at the local, state, and national level to elect political representatives who will act to save America, our constitutional republic, and hold those currently in office accountable. The will of the people must be heard and followed. Well, thank you very much, sirs, ma'ams, generals, and admirals. You want to make that happen? Then tell me how to fucking file a sworn statement. All right, there's plenty of us wanting to do the right thing, but we need a little bit of help. We need a little energy. Hang on a second. Let me clarify that last statement. It's not a matter of energy, sir. We got plenty of energy. What we don't have is any power. Got the authority, right? We got God on our side, but we don't have any power. That's where you come in. We need your power, right? Because the people pretending to be the government are not the government. So let's look at a few proofs real quick before we move on. If we went to the GPO style manual and we looked under capitalization rules, we would see that under names of countries, domains, and administrative divisions, right? The official designation of countries, national domains, and their principal administrative divisions are capitalized only if used as part of a proper name, as proper names, or as proper adjectives. So United States, what is that? Well, that's the republic. That's the nation. That's the union. That's the government. Right? It's not United States of America. It's United States. Okay, so keep that in mind because it's not the United States that's taken the major to court. It's the United States of America. Yeah, hang on. And well, sirs, I've pointed this out in many, many videos. I'm a broken record, right? In the 6th article of the Constitution, since you're the one bringing up the Constitution, thank you very much, it says that the senators or representatives before mentioned and the members of the several state legislatures and all executive and judicial officers, both of the United States and of the several states, shall be bound by oath or affirmation to support this Constitution, but no religious test shall ever be required as a qualification to any office or public trust under the United States. Well, that sounds really good, right? That was the Constitution. Well, the very first law, right, an act to regulate the time and manner of administering certain oaths, commonly known as 1 Stat 23, was the first law passed by the United States Congress after the ratification of the U.S. Constitution. It was signed by President George Washington on June 1st, 1789. And in this act, it says that the oath or affirmation required by the 6th article of the Constitution of the United States, you know, that thing we just looked at over here, this right here, right, to satisfy this, right, shall be administered in the following form, to wit. Now, that would mean just like you see it here, just in this form. Don't be playing with the form. I, A, B, which that's your state your name part. So I, Robert Allen Rutluski, no initials, no nicknames, full legal name. This is a legal matter. Got to use your legal name. I, Robert Allen Rutluski, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States. Period. That's the oath. Right? Now, the second article of the Constitution, oath of the President of the United States of America, it doesn't support the Constitution. So he would have to take this oath also, because this is for all executive officers of the United States. So either he takes this oath or he's not the President of the United States. He's President of the United States of America, but that's King George's jurisdiction, and this is what they did, right? After the Revolutionary War, we had, United States of America and United States in union under the Constitution. Right? The democracy was allowed to exist inside the republic, but you didn't have to be in the democracy. You were supposed to be able to be in the republic as a self-governing person. Well, that's what's been taken away from us. But even further, right, all senators and representatives have to take this oath. All members of the state legislature have to take that oath. All executive and judicial officers of the United States and the several states have to take that oath. And none of them have. There's nobody who's pretending to hold an office right now that has taken the oath to satisfy the 6th Article of the Constitution. Right? They have no constitutional authority. And this is part of the scheme. As long as they can keep anybody from having constitutional authority, well, then they're safe. Right? Now, 1 Stat 23 had been codified into the United States Code, Title 4, Section 101, Oath of Members of the Legislature and Officers. Every member of a state legislature and every executive or judicial officer of a state shall, before he proceeds to execute duties of his office, take an oath in the following form. I, state your name, do solemnly swear to support the Constitution of the United States. Well, that's the same oath. Yes. Nobody's taken it. Right? Gretchen Esther Whitmer didn't take this oath. The judge down at the county courthouse didn't take the oath. The sheriff didn't take the oath. There's nobody in Michigan who's taken the oath to satisfy the 6th Article of the Constitution. So we don't have a state government. We don't have a United States government under the Constitution, but we do have officers, military officers, who didn't have to take this oath. Now, back in the day, I thought that they had to, but I found out, well, no, in 1948 or 1949, whenever the DOD came into existence, they made military officers instead of executive officers. So because there is nobody to enforce the laws of the United States anywhere in the United States, generals, we need the frickin' military to do it. Well, veterans are still in the military. You didn't give us a discharge order. I'd like to, have one so I can get my retirement pay, but so far I don't have one. So, every veteran is somehow still in the military in some form of inactive reserves. I think they call it the Army of the United States. Hang on a second. Alrighty, let's look at a few, pieces of paper from a court document. So this is for the Major Warnaguris, right? Active duty Marine. I believe he was down in Quantico. And this is supposed to be the arrest warrant, right? Where it has United States of America. Well, again, that's not what the style manual says. It says the United States is the government. right? So why isn't the United States name there instead of United States of America? If we look at the paperwork for his court case, right, this is his name. You probably can't read this right here, but it has two case numbers. It says that the major is a defendant in two cases. Right? Well, these two cases have the same numbers, except one has a -1 at the end and the other one doesn't, but it says they're two different cases. Well, he's being tried twice for the same crimes then. Or, one of them we don't even know what the crimes are. Right? We got USA versus, and then Christopher versus himself. Apparently, how can he be a defendant in a case that just has his name on it? Right? This is, the scheming of attorneys. So, yeah. All right, so we got, an entity that is not the government of the United States is apparently the plaintiff against somebody that they didn't give a full legal name to. There's no birth date. There's no other identifier. I mean, that name is not specific enough to apply to any one person. Right? It's like you could have called him a John Doe. Go pick up John Doe. Make him agree to be, that name right there, and then he can be the defendant. That's what they do. I'll show you on a document they wanted the major to sign. Right? Now, if you compare this to the one with Abram, he was the National Guardsman out of Wisconsin. Right? Abram Markovsky, date of birth, all X's. In other words, he doesn't exist. They don't even know who he is. Well, go pick this dude up. Well, which one? The guy that's 10 years old or the guy that's, 60 years old? They don't have a date on there. It's not exact enough to identify anybody. Now, in the major's case, this is really crazy because this case number here is a case number in the Eastern District of Virginia. Right? But it doesn't match this case number here, which apparently this is from the District of Columbia, so there should be a case 121 MJ 00423 opened in the District of Columbia. But I put that number in, 121 MJ 00423, and it says I cannot find it. It's like, well, how do you know that would work? Well, let me go back real quick because I like to be really thorough on these things. And where's the other guys? What was his case number? All right, we can just put his in. Right, because this is in the District of Columbia also. Let's go ahead and throw that in there and see what happens. I'm not logged in. Okay, hang on. Yeah, okay, so if I put in 00404 at the end, it's all right. There's the cases that for Abram Markovsky. And what was the other one real quick? Let me go back right here. Is that 43? All right, so this says 423. Let's go look and see if 423 is in here. All right, let's just go here. Do something like this. Say find the case. Right? Can't find it. It's not there. So the major's in some case, or he's being told he's in a case that isn't even in D.C. All right, who put in this arrest warrant? Right? The case, there is no case 121 MJ 423 in Eastern VA or in the District of Columbia. Let me make sure about the Eastern VA. Let me go pull that one up real quick. Hang on. Okay, so just real quick, that's the case number again. And if we go and we look at, this is for the Eastern District of Virginia. You put that number in and it says cannot find. But if I put the number in that was at the top of the piece of paper, oh, hey, they closed it today. Look at that. Ain't that something? They closed it today. What is that about? Interesting. It wasn't like that earlier this morning. Let's run a query. and see what they did here at the end. This is all live. I didn't know that this had happened, so let's see what's going on. Run a query. Notice, let me see, 4 is supposed to be a bond. Let's see what that is. Wow, this is interesting. So this is document 4. And when I was here earlier today, I got this. There was no signature here, and now there's all this scribble here. Right? It hadn't been signed by the defendant before, but all of a sudden now it is. So let me save this. You don't need to watch me do that. It'd take too long. So hang on. I'm just going to shut this off. Be right back. Okay, I got it now. They added some things in the last couple hours, but it started out with this complaint that we saw, which that's not the name of the government. It doesn't really. Well, that's the wrong one, anyways. This one here. That's the one we'll look at. Right, that's. I don't believe that's that man's given name, right? Like there's, if you want to call it your middle name, it's missing. There's something missing there. And that this number here does not match this number up here, right? This number up here is in the Eastern District of Virginia. This number down here is supposed to be in, according to this, in the District of Columbia, but there is no 00423. Right? So this was done in bad faith. Well, that was, the first piece of paper. And that generated this minute order, right, which really didn't have anything on it. That's the second document. I'm just showing you the other documents that are in the file right now without really knowing why they're there. Right? Who's the government attorney, defendant's attorney without counsel? Well, his counsel will be JAG. Right? Order setting conditions for release. So this is number 3. Right? This is when they put this one on. It's a 4-page document. The defendant hadn't signed it. Well, this was put in yesterday, I believe. Right? This is the 13th. Well, this one is put in on the 14th, right? So it's not the same one as put in on the 13th. And on the 14th, somebody has scribbled a name in here, right? And by doing this, right, it says, I acknowledge that I am the defendant in this case. So it doesn't really matter what it was for or, how wrongly it was worded in the beginning. By signing it, somebody just said that they're the defendant. And all the judges have to do after that is point at it and say, well, is this your signature? Because if that's your signature, then you just agreed to be the defendant. See how easy it is to rope you in? Well, and then this one here is they put it all together. Now look at it. So this one here is like a combination of all the different records that have been put in. I don't exactly know what they're doing yet, but we'll find out soon enough. But maybe I wonder if they're transferring it, if that's what's happening. It's too early to tell. But here's the arrest warrant, right? The stuff we already saw. And they just put it all in here, right? And here it is again where this was number 3. It's not signed. Next day they put it in it again. And it is signed. And they made it a point to put these highlights there. So, there's something to be learned by looking at that stuff. Anyway, sirs, ma'ams, that's what's going on in America, right? We need some help out here in the districts. And as I've said numerous times, that, the way you can help us the most is to tell us where we can file sworn statements, because we can't put in any kind of evidence to get anybody to do anything, right? They won't allow you to file a sworn statement. They'll let you put in an affidavit, but an affidavit is an oath rendered to writing. It's not testimony. Testimony is a sworn statement. And in a sworn statement is an affidavit. But you're not filing an affidavit, you're filing a sworn statement. And I think they should be able to have this done at the library or church, or anybody with a gold fringe flag should be able to do it. or a retired general officer. I should be able to send it to you and have you do it. Okay. One last thing to take care of. I wanted to show this guy that had asked the question. Would you please provide information regarding that a discharge from the Army doesn't release the obligation? Yeah, hang on just a second. I will do that. Okay, so if you go to my website, Rob Ryder, ROBBBRYDER, and go under playlist, you'll see this Veteran Military Issues playlist. And, hang on now. No, I'd be talking right off the... Okay, and I just scroll down the bottom and kind of go up. I don't remember what the names are myself, but I can see some in here that some generals should watch. Right? See what happened in General Flynn's case. Military government. Veterans are, we are in a military government. Right? Gold fringe flags. Martial law declared. Lieber Code. All that stuff is true. And the American Legion is MIA, right? Now, here's another problem we have, generals, right? That the American Legion is a federal corporation. It should be the United States. I should be able to go to the American Legion, who in its charter has a duty to support and defend the Constitution. But the problem is in the charter, it says that they have to have properly registered their, the Legion with the proper officer for service of process, legal service. It hasn't been done. Right? So technically they don't have any civil standing because they didn't fill out their paperwork. They're just a private club. Right? Or they could be the United States because they're a federal corporation. They've been given the authority to support and defend the Constitution by the Congress. But they didn't fill out their damn paperwork right. Right? All you need to do is go, if you're in the Legion, just go look at the charter. It says the things you had to do to have any authority is, file some paperwork with the proper officer. Let's see, POWs, protected persons. That'd be a good one to read. But that really isn't what you're asking me about. Hang on here. Okay, like 2S or not 2S. This would have information in that on there. And is your DD-214 killing you? Yep, that will certainly have information on it. Court of Honor, yeah, that would. That's talking about, that as a veteran, we should have access to trial by court-martial. State militia. Does DD-214 fraud equal UCMJ violation? Yeah, that would be a good one. Military pay in arrears. Yeah, that'd be really good. We all have pay in arrears, right? This is what's going on, that we haven't been paid. We are still in the military, but we're not being paid. Or we're being paid, but it isn't coming to us. We're like on a missing status or something. You know what? I'm going to have to do another video on it. I'll just pull it all together, right? But for the guy that asked, if you would just go watch those few videos, you get a flavor for what I'm talking about. Is your DD-214 killing you and 2S or not 2S? If you're a veteran and got time, you should watch all these videos. Right? That's you want to know what I think about video veterans issues? It's all right in there. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. You all have a great day. And like I said, the main thing I want to do was point out the letter from the general and that the Esquires are, I believe they finally crossed the line. Okay, we'll see you. Let me rephrase that. Esquires had long ago crossed the line, but now the hammer may come down. Right? All the generals need to do is make a phone call. Okay, have a good day.